This is 7 National News, and in our top story, the second ordinary session of the 16th chapter of the Federal National Council was opened today by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the UAE Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai. The meeting of the session, which was held under the chair of Her Excellency Dr. Amal Al-Kubaisi, was to begin by electing observers, as well as the setup of permanent committees, including a Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, a Foreign Affairs and Defence Committee, and a Financial, Economic and Industrial Affairs Committee, among others. The Council was to review 3 proposals submitted for approval by Noura Mohammed Al-Kabi, the Minister of State for Federal National Council Affairs, on various topics, as well as review 3 draft laws submitted by the government. His Highness Dr. Sheikh Sultan bin Mohammed Al Kazmi, the member of the Supreme Council and ruler of Sharjah, has ordered a 4 million dirham grant for public libraries in the Emirate to purchase the latest publications from the Sharjah International Book Fair. The fair is running until the 12th of November, and the grant has been implemented to enrich public libraries with different languages. It means different libraries can buy the latest titles and books from the 1,681 publishing houses from 60 countries that are taking part at the Sharjah International Book Fair. Officials stress that His Highness Dr. Sheikh Sultan's support has contributed to its great success, pointing out that the book fair has established itself as the world's 3rd largest in the field of purchasing and selling copyrights. The UAE Remembers campaign, organised by the Martyrs Families Affairs Office at the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince's Court, has been launched in the run-up to the UAE's annual Commemoration Day, which is on the 30th of November. The campaign will allow the country to show their respect and gratitude to those who died to ensure the safety and security of the nation. It's also an opportunity for the nation's diverse communities to show their support and stand with the country's leadership in its efforts to provide a safe, secure and tolerant environment for all. The Commemoration Day is a national event and encourages the participation of the entire community, Emirati nationals, as well as the 200 nationalities who live in the UAE. Events will be held in schools and universities, as well as sporting events and other social functions, allowing everyone to pay their respects to the nation's heroes. The UAE Remembers will start with the symbolic lowering of the national flag across the country at 11:30 a.m. on Commemoration Day, and then that will be followed by a 1-minute silence in every emirate. The Board of Executive Directors of the Road and Transport Authority has approved a plan to operate marine transport services across 9 new stations on the Water Canal in order to link with the service in Dubai Creek and the coastal areas of Dubai. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Matt Al-Tayer, the Director General and Chairman of the Board of Executive Directors of the RTA. And the service, which will start on the day following the opening of the canal, will call at 5 stations along the canal and will also call at 4 stations along Business Bay, meaning that the total number of marine transport stations and stops in Dubai will rise to 42. Al-Tayer explained that the service will be available on demand on board the water taxi from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at all new stations. The Dubai Ferry will offer service in 5 stations, 2 at the Dubai Water Canal and 3 at Business Bay. There will be 3 newly scheduled 2-way daily services for the Dubai Ferry from Al Jadaf station, and the services will start at 10 a.m., 12 midday and 5:30 p.m. The current line of the Dubai Ferry shuttling between Al Ghababa station and Marina Mall station will also be modified to call at the Dubai Canal station. The fare of the tourist class for the Dubai Ferry will be 15 dirhams to 1 station, 25 dirhams to 2 stations, 35 to 3 and 45 dirhams to 4 stations, while 50 dirhams will cover the entire line, while the water taxi fares will range from between 55 dirhams and 205 dirhams. A code to ensure all buildings are accessible to people with special needs will come into effect by the end of the year. That's according to officials. Officials from the Community Development Authority, which is among the government bodies designing the draft code, made the announcement, stating that the code, with incentives and penalties, will be compulsory for developers of new buildings in Dubai, and work must begin on plans to make old buildings and surroundings more disabled friendly. It was also noted that those who have to refit old buildings and areas will be given time to plan their changes, and the aim is for all buildings to be retrofitted by 2020. Campaigns and competitions are being planned to motivate developers and institutions, such as awards for the most accessible neighbourhood or best designed school or university. The Dubai Municipality Transport Agencies, developers, social groups and people with special needs are reviewing the code before it's submitted to higher authorities. As cardiopulmonary resuscitation performed within the first 4 minutes of a health emergency can double or triple a patient's chances of survival. Practical tips on how CPR is performed and the essential do's and don'ts of the technique were offered to Dubai residents today. While Dubai's ambulance response time has been reduced to 4 minutes in 20% of emergency cases, that's down from an average of 8 minutes, health experts in Dubai stress that CPR performed after the 4-minute window rarely work, and the likelihood of patients making a full recovery are minimal. Although a person can go up to 10 minutes without a heartbeat, experts attending a workshop at Horizon English School in Dubai today stated that people involved in a drowning or a choking incident lose consciousness due to a lack of oxygen in their bodies. And at that crucial stage, techniques such as CPR can mean the difference between life and death. Officials revealed that during CPR, a patient's chest is pushed at a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute, which allows a change in blood flow as well as keeping the brain alive. While stating that for every minute without a heartbeat or CPR, a patient loses a 10% chance of survival. And health experts added that the technique has to be correctly performed, as even the best administered CPR will only yield 25 to 30% of a person's normal cardiac output.
4 minutes seems like quite a short time scale to do all of your checks and actually start administering this, but in reality, in actual practice, it's not. So like I say, there are 5 steps that we need to complete in the CPR process. 3 of those are checks that we need to do prior to starting the skill, and those involve checking for response, calling the ambulance and checking for breathing. In reality, you can get all of that done in a couple of minutes, so it is able to be performed within that 4-minute time scale. Yeah. I think previous guidelines made it quite complex. There used to be, checking for pulse, checking for breathing, making sure the airway was open, but that has now all changed with current guidelines. So there's a 5-step program to actually knowing how to perform CPR. It's really, really simple. And as long as you get the placement of the hand right when performing the compressions, and you have a basic understanding of the techniques, like I say, you're faced with a situation where the person isn't going to be breathing at this stage, and it's a rarity that you're ever going to make that situation worse, even if you get the technique slightly wrong. So yeah, quite a simple technique to learn and perform. Yeah.
Schools teach so many things, but what often schools fail to do, in my opinion, is to isolate what are the really, really important skills in life. And CPR for me would fall into that bracket. I don't think there's anything more important than being able to support somebody in an emergency situation, and if we can educate our community to do so, then that for us is a fundamental part of educating not just the school and the children, but the wider community as well.
Fortunately, when my daughter was 3 months, so I had a severe reflux experience, and I really didn't know what to do at that moment. Fortunately, we were living very close from the hospital and there was no traffic at that moment, so my instinct was taking her immediately to the hospital, but God forbid that wasn't the situation. Like today, I'm almost confident knowing what would I need to do at similar situations.
And finally, looking to other news now, the next generation of Stephen Hawkings and Albert Einsteins are being called on as tickets for the Abu Dhabi Science Festival are now on sale. The award-winning festival will be staged at the family-friendly Al Emirat Park and Al Ain Zoo from the 17th to the 26th of November. The 10-day extravaganza, organised by the Abu Dhabi Education Council, aims to produce action-packed and fun-filled activities for youngsters. 40% of this year's activities and workshops will be rolled out by local companies, including the Small Inspector Workshop provided by Abu Dhabi Food Control, the SRAF SAR Workshop for budding bankers and future investors provided by the Emirates Foundation, as well as the Spinning Noise Maker Workshop provided by DesignPod UAE, where people will be able to get up close and personal with the science of sound. The event, which is a part of the UAE Innovation Week, has increased this year by 20%, with significantly more drop-in activities. There will be 67 activities in total, up from last year's 56.